Welcome to another back of the net recording. This one's for rounding to a given accuracy. First of all, we're going to look at significant figures. Then in a minute we're going to look at some decimal places as well. So first of all, I've given myself here an example of a number. It's not a number you very often find, but it's so we're able to round to different places. I want to talk about significance first of all. If this was money in your bank account, the most significant bit to you would be this digit here, the 3, because that's telling you you've got 3,000. You're not really worried about the 6p if you've got £3,000 in your bank. So significance of a number, the higher up the place value system it is, the more significant it becomes. The lower down the place value system, the less significant it becomes, in comparison to the other digits around it. So first of all, the question is round 3,569.36458 to one significant figure. The first thing I need to do is decide which is the most significant figure. Well, the most significant figure in this case is the one furthest to the left. It's the 3,000. So in this case, for one significant figure, it's a 3,000. I'm only allowed to write one significant figure, so I'm going to have to write a 3,000 to start with. 3,000, but when I look at it, that number is between 3,000 and 4,000 because it's 3,569. It's actually nearer to the 4,000 than it is the 3,000 because 3,500 would be the halfway mark, and that's over the halfway mark, so it's nearer to 4,000. So my answer in this case is going to be 4,000, not the 3,000. So 3,569.36458 rounded to one significant figure is 4,000. Now let's look at rounding that number to three significant figures. Well, this time I've got to count the first significant figure, the second one, and now the third one is indeed the 6. So my number is going to be somewhere between 3,560 and then 3,570. Students sometimes ask me, well, if you only allowed 3 digits, why have you put the 0? The 0 is a digit, but it's actually put there as a place value marker. If I didn't put the 0 there, the number would be 356, but what I want is 3,560, so the 0 has to be there as the place value marker to make this a 3,000 rather than a 300. Well, looking back at this number, is it nearer to 3,560 or 3,570? Quite clearly, if it's a 69, it's nearer to that one. Let's cross that one out. 6 significant figures. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm now looking at this digit here. Right, it's a 6. That's a 4. So it's between 0.364 and 365. So it's between 3,569 point. Let's just get rid of that. 3,569.36 and 3,569.37. Which one of those two is it nearer to? Well, 364 is nearer to 36 than it is to 37. So I'm going to go for this one this time and cross out that one. Finally, rounding out to 7 significant figures. Well, that was the 6th one. This one here must be the 7th one. And again, well, that's going to tip it up because a 5 is more than halfway. You could write down a 2, but as we've just done that one, 369.36, well, it's not going to be 4, it'll round it up to 5. 5. Hope that's been helpful to you. I've got another slide in a minute to consider, but just remember, the further you are this way, the more significant your number. Let's look at a couple more questions. Right, I've got one here that is a number below 1, a decimal, to one significant figure. Well, the most significant figure here will be the 3, and the reason it's the 3 is it's the first one that matters. These are just markers of place value. So you have your 3 there. I want one significant figure. I look next door to that one, which is this one here. That's clearly nearer to 30 or 4 than it is to 40, or 30 than 40. So my number there is going to be 0.03 to one significant figure. I've only used one non-zero digit. Now let's look at three significant figures. Three significant figures, well, that's my first one, second, third. So I'm worried now about looking at my number here. If I draw my line there, I've got 3005, or it could be 301. So it's between 300 and 301. I shouldn't really be saying that because it's a decimal, but in terms of trying to give an image to look at, if it's between 300 and 301, 300.5 would be nearer. Answer to that is going to be 0.0301, because that 5 is moving that place value up one. 6, let's give them a colour pen. 6 significant figures, 1, 2, 3. And notice now that once I've got one significant figure started, once I've started counting, I keep counting. These zeros are now part of the number, they're not just marking place value. So first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So I want to go there. Okay, so I've now got to decide, and this is an interesting case, is that there, is it 69 or 70 that I need that to go to? Well, it's past the 5-way half mark, so that needs to round up. Well, we can't add one onto there like we normally would, so I've got to go, instead of going to 69, I've got to go to 70. I'm asking myself again, is it 0.00569, or is it 0.0300? Now I can't do 610, 610, I have to go to 570. That is clearly, with the 8, gone and tip it over, so my answer is this one here, and not that one there. That's quite confusing. Students do often struggle with that. It's quite a hard thing to get your head around, and to be honest with you, the best way to get your head around it is by doing lots of examples and asking yourself if you're right, checking with an answer, and you'll begin to get confident about what you're doing. Just moving on quickly to more stuff on rounding, is a decimal place system of rounding. Lots of students find this a bit more straightforward. Decimal places are just the number of places after the decimal point. So in this number here, 56.4532, that is the first decimal place, that is the second decimal place, that is the third, and that is the fourth. 1, 2, 3, 4, because the decimal point is there. So, to one decimal place then, well, I've got to chop my number off here, and again, that's more than halfway, so my answer there is going to be 5, 6 points. Well, I don't want 4, because 45 is nearer to 50 than it is to 40, so it's going to be 5, just like that. 3 decimal places, first, second, third, so I would want to stop that there. Okay, is that nearer to 30 or 40? Well, clearly 32 is not yet halfway, so I'm going to stick with the 3, so that's going to be 5, 6.45, and I'm staying as the 3. And notice I've got 1, 2, 3 decimal places there. Okay, next one. I've put in some numbers here like I did for the last example. 0.004657 to one decimal place. So let's just line up our decimal places first of all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So one decimal place. Okay, well, one decimal place is here. So my number's got to be, is that nearer to 0.0 or 0.1? Well, quite clearly 0.00 is nearer to 0 than it is to 0.1. So to one decimal place, that number is in fact 1.0. Now it's important to put the 0 there because you need to have one decimal place. You're showing somebody that you know it's more accurate to being nearer to 0.0. It's not nearer to 0.1 or 0.2. Sorry, it's not nearer to 0.1 than 0.2. It's actually nearer to 0.0. If we just did a single 0, you're saying you're only counting in integers, in fact like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Whereas you're more accurate than that. At this point it's 0, even if you're counting to one decimal place. Okay, 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. Let's change that colour of the pen so you can see which one refers to which. That's going to chop the number off there. So it's 0.004. And now looking at 46, or is it nearer to 40? Is it nearer to 50? Actually, 46 is nearer to 50, so it's going to be a 5. That becomes a 5. So 0.000, that 4 became a 5. There we go. And finally, let's go for a nice green colour. Here we go. To 4 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Usual thing, 0.000, that's my fourth one. So I'm looking at, is it 65 or 70? Nearer to 70, so that's going to become a 7. So 0.0047. Just going to check 4 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. Hope that's been helpful to you. It can be a really complicated topic for some people, and it really does test your understanding of the place value system. Ask a teacher if you're still stuck. They would have probably watched this as well. Hope it has been helpful. Don't forget to look at the back of the videos. Thank you very much.